Everyone knows criminals are smart, right? The whole idea of a criminal is dumb, but if you are a criminal, you gotta know what you're doing. You can't leave any evidence of yourself behind or else you get caught. But what about the criminals who don't know what they're doing? Like rob a store without a mask, leave their phone or wallet behind? In my opinion, those are dumb criminals. Now get this. In 2008, 18-year-old Ruben Zarate decided to rob a store in Chicago. He walked in the store carrying a gun and demanded money. But what he didn't realize was most of the store's money was stored away in a locked safe and only the manager had the key. After Ruben found this out and had a bit of a temper tantrum, he then decided to give a cell phone number to the cashier so she could call him when the manager came back. When Ruben left, the cashier did the first thing anyone would do, call the police. But when the police came and found out that Ruben actually left his phone number behind, they made the cashier call him to tell him that the manager had come back. And guess what? Ruben was actually dumb enough to come back. But when he got there, the manager wasn't waiting for him. Instead, 4 police officers were with handcuffs ready in their hands. Obviously, this next kid didn't listen to his teachers because my teachers are always telling me not to take the easy way out of anything and always think your way through. On March 23, 2010, Albert Bailey decided to rob a bank. But to make things easier for himself, he decided to call the bank ahead of time to tell them to get $100,000 ready for them. After Albert hung up the phone, the bank employee didn't know what to make of that phone call, but just to be on the safe side, she called the police. The police didn't think anyone would come, but to everyone's surprise, Albert actually showed up. Albert then faced 9 long years in prison. I never used to believe in bad luck, but I do now. Darren Kimpton was 19 years old when he got dared to burglarize a house. I guess Darren took dares pretty seriously because he actually accepted. Darren's friend George, who dared Darren, was of course kidding and shocked when he found out. The night Darren got dared, he went out to one of the biggest houses in his town, went around to the side of the house, bashed the window open with a baseball bat, and jumped through. And to his surprise, there were 3 police officers standing a few feet away from him. He later found out that the reason why there were police officers there was because the same house had gotten broken into about an hour before he came. You know how when you rob a store, a bank, or break into a house, you more than likely wear a disguise to hide your true identity? An example of a disguise could be a mask, or a woman if you were a man. Well, I think Dennis Hawkins probably had the worst disguise in the history of disguises. His disguise consisted of a woman's blonde hair wig, fake breasts, a shirt that said sexy on it, clown pants, and high heels. Maybe his disguise could have worked if he shaved off his mustache and goatee, which he didn't, and if he didn't leave his wallet behind. Now, I bet that there are some people here who don't know who Chuck Norris is, right? Well, for those of you who don't know who he is, let me fill you in a little bit. Chuck Norris is a martial arts master. He is one of the most skilled men ever, has almost every black belt you can think of, stars in many martial arts movies, and he's rich. Now that you know who he is, do you think that anyone would be dumb enough to try and mug him? Well, you're about to find out. In Dallas, Texas of 1994, Chuck Norris was taking a walk. No fans following him, no bodyguards, not that he would need any, not even his wife. When Chuck turned a corner, there were 2 men coming at him, a little taller than he was. Chuck just thought they wanted autographs, so he walked up to them with a smile, when all of a sudden, both men pulled out 2 big pocket knives and demanded that Chuck gives them his wallet. Chuck Norris actually opened his mouth wide and said, "Are you insane?" Then the other mugger said, "No, we know who you are. No, you got a lot of money." A few minutes later, 2 police cars pulled up and out came 3 officers to the scene of 2 men with severely broken arms. The bones had gone through the skin, and Chuck Norris leaning against the fence. The police officers started laughing so hard that they had trouble putting handcuffs on the muggers. Then eventually one of the police officers was able to say, "Do you 2 have any idea who this man is?" Then the mugger said, "Yeah, we know who he is. We thought all that junk on TV was fake." Now we kids need to stay in school so we have a better future than becoming a dumb criminal.